Yeah, bruv, the game ain't hard when you got the trump card. It's all rigged and I'm calling more games than Bob Uecker. Changing the outcomes like Duke Nukem to a new future. Win some, lose some, bag some, choose none. Will the aliens come save the day? Are we going to listen to what they say? The uranium, cranium, aliens popping up like circadians. Got me spontaneously training in the Palladium gymnasium. Ultimate battle in the extraterrestrial stadium. It really just be the Mediterranean and Sylvanians. Bloodlines, overtime, dragon descendants. Scripting bread and circus lizards in attendance. Serpent queens, breaking dreams, dragging me down. The underworld royalty is all about how much you can clown. I'm talking about the number 92. If you didn't know, well now you do.
What's up, everybody?
What's in the hearse? I am who I am. Man with a plan, where you at with the rebellion. 1 in a million, us against a billionaire reptilians. Look at the word rebellion, spells out the same as the rebel lion. Ain't even trying, ain't living, you're dying. Well done to the skeleton. No time for the rebellion. Strawmen led by spellmen, dialectic Hegelian. Everyone's worked up, waiting for the aliens. Problem, reaction, solution, little contribution. The script tells that they cast spells like nuclear fusion, spreading confusion, lie distribution. Old as hell, ain't even some new shit.
Mic check.
Popping up like circadians, got me spontaneously training in the Palladium gymnasium. Ultimate battle in the extraterrestrial stadium. It really just be the Mediterranean, Transylvania.
King bags.
The uranium, cranium, aliens popping up like circadians.
Thank you, Maggie.
Spontaneously training in the Palladium gymnasium. Ultimate battle in the extraterrestrial stadium. It really just be the Mediterranean, Transylvanians. Will the aliens come save the day? Are we gonna listen to what they say?
Welcome back, ballers, to another episode of Eye to Eye with AJ, Rambo, and Cody. Cody will be in a little bit. Good to see everybody. Thank you guys for the mic check. First and foremost, Rambo, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Sounds good. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for joining. Tonight is August 18th, 2026. We'll dive right in. My name is AJ, Balll Don't Lie, 3 L's and Ball. You guys can find all of my content here on YouTube where we're streaming tonight, as well as on Instagram. So if you guys haven't given me a follow, I'd appreciate it. Feel free to send me an email at wordplaybook, 3 O's and book at gmail.com. I also have a Patreon if you guys are interested in sports leans and things like that. Rambo, please just remind the viewers where they can find you and support you.
Yeah, thanks again for putting this together. And thanks for the audience for being here for another Tuesday. And this is where I can be found, The Truth Codes. That's at patreon.com/The Truth Codes. There's only one tier. It's a $5 a month tier. You also have access to the decodes of the community on the Codebreaker community server on Discord. And I'm also on Instagram.com/The Truth Codes.
$5 a month, you guys. Not a day, not a week. Make sure to at least sign up for his free tier. Amazing content, and I know you got more teed up for us tonight as well, Rambo. So thank you again for joining. We really appreciate it, as always. Obviously, the biggest news story buzzing this week was the death of Hayden Panettiere back on, what was it, Sunday, the 16th? August 16th. A lot of people remember her. She's a very well-known actress for a lot of different movies. But we'll kick things off talking a little bit about her death. And just shout out to the community in general. There's been a lot of different takes on this as far as different things, occult related, obviously, surrounding her death. So I'm going to kind of rehash what I shared on my Instagram page. First and foremost, you know, like a lot of times with deaths like this, the first thing we do is take a look at, you know, the latest the latest posts, etc., that they made on social media before they passed. And the number 4 and the word death, we've known about that for a long time, but just notice that Hayden's last post on Instagram was back on July 27th, and she posted this photo with a gentleman by the name of Randall Slavin. And if you take a look, he's got his arm wrapped around her with the big number 4 on his forearm, and obviously the all-seeing eye with the tongue sticking out and everything. It's a lot packed in here in one picture, but I just want to emphasize the number 4 associated with the word death. She also had a song associated with this post by Olivia Dean called Dive. And it's just a little eerie because the lyrics, the end of the chorus says, "I am ready to dive," the letter V in there. And I thought that was interesting just because KODI especially has been talking a lot about that letter V. So you remove the letter V from dive, you have die, right? Like we just mentioned, the number 4. We'll notice too that she did pass 4 days after the world's latest eclipse, which took place back in Spain. You know, the symbolic connection there with her being, I would say, arguably best known for her character on the show Heroes, which the font / text, you know, heavily intertwined the imagery of an eclipse. And then, I just noticed here that she did pass reportedly on the 228th day of the year in the Sumerian cipher, death equals 228. But then also just in the basic ciphers, front and back using Pythagorean, the word death equals 20 and 25. And that's interesting because when you take a look at Hayden's birthday, when you measure it back to the date of her last Instagram post, with the number 4 in the all-seeing eye, it's exactly 25 days. And if you also measure the date of that post to the date of her death, it was 20 days as well. So simple alignments there, particularly the numbers 20, 25, and 4. But R.I.P. Hayden Panettiere. You know, she was known for a lot of different things in her career. So that's why I think there's a reason why there's a lot of different angles on this as far as what she's best known for. But yeah, thank you for listening to my TED Talk, Rambo. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was personally shocked by this one. I know celebrities die all the time, and who knew that being an actor or a musician was the most hazardous job in the world, but apparently it is. I mean, these are all multimillionaires, or, you know, they have access to the best doctors, the safest environments, security, best nutrition, exercise, yet they die at an inordinate rate. Yeah, so there's something going on here, clearly. Do we ever have proof of what actually? No, we can never actually prove. And it'll always remain as theories. And I know the popular thing is to condemn quote-unquote conspiracy theorists and conspiracy theories. But yeah, that's the nature of entities with power. Yes, they're not going to leave you proof, but this obviously does not make sense that this many people die prematurely when the opposite should be the case. They should be the ones who are most likely to live the longest. And sometimes, again, we can't prove this, but they don't always die. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they aren't actually dead. We just don't see them again. And we never know with a celebrity what actually caused their death, if they're actually dead. But yeah, I was very surprised by this. It happens all the time now. Seems like a celebrity death at any age. The 27 Club became quite popular, or like well-known or common. You know, celebrities dying at the age 27, but they die at premature ages continuously. And I was quite surprised by this one, I'll be honest. But it just goes to show, they don't seem to draw the line, I guess. But it doesn't make sense that being a musician or an actor is a hazardous job. It just makes no sense. I mean, or people say, oh, they get worked really hard. You don't realize it's very stressful, and they tend to take drugs to deal with the stress, and then they overdose. Yeah, but that's not an excuse. Yeah, so this is the latest. I would say I am surprised. Now I do see some parallels between this and some things that I've been looking at myself already. And I do see parallels just in the symbolism and the numbers and some of the themes. That's what I would say. I can demonstrate some of those parallels that I've observed with
yeah, that'd be great. I do have your request here, so I can flip it over to you when you're ready. But yeah, I mean, she's, you know, been around for quite some time, you know, dead at the age of 36, very premature death, but known for a lot of things, like I mentioned. So, yeah, let me flip it over to you, Rambo.
Yeah, just real quick before I do my presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since I first heard about her, I always thought of how her name sounds like. Now, this isn't part of my decoder. Maybe there is a connection. Her name sounds like. This is in New York City. I had never heard of her, but I always knew about the Hayden Planetarium. And from the first moment I heard of her, I was like, wow, her name sounds like Hayden Planetarium. That's just a little something which just to throw out there. I always thought about this from the very first time I heard of this actress's name, the Hayden Planetarium, which is in New York City, which has it's been part of some groundbreaking astronomical research and discoveries. It's the Hayden Planetarium in New York City. I have a feeling
that's
it does.
That's a good one, Rambo.
Yeah. I'd always thought about that. I always thought about her. I hadn't heard of her. I'd heard about this before I heard of her. And I thought, wow, here's this actress whose name sounds like Hayden Planetarium. And I always assumed that her name was a play on Hayden Planetarium. And I feel that if I look into it or other people can see things I won't see, there probably is a connection. But it's just since she's in the news now.
Well, especially too with, like we talked about, you know, her character on the show Heroes, emphasizing the eclipse, and then now we have this planetarium connection. Like there's a big outer space connection here with her. And I mean, another big movie that she was in as a child was Remember the Titans, right? So it kind of makes me think of, you know, the Clash of the Titans and, you know, those kinds of things as well. I haven't gotten that far down that rabbit hole, but hey, NFL season right around the corner. Keep an eye on what might be going on with the Tennessee Titans in relation to her death. So we'll see. But because that's a good point, because she was in the TV series Nashville. Yes. Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
So many people have mentioned the Nashville connection in their decodes. And I have a Nashville connection too, but I never thought of the NFL connection. So it's interesting that you make that NFL connection. And since you mentioned Tennessee Titans, this is just off the cuff. I wasn't really gonna. I wasn't expecting this angle.
Yeah.
But Steve McNair is the Titans. They've only ever been to one Super Bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the quarterback was Steve McNair. Interestingly, but look at his birthday, February 14th. That will be the Super Bowl will be on Steve McNair's, or would have been his birthday. He had again, this is another celebrity death. Who knows? Who knew? He's an athlete. You know, he just retired. He's still young. And his girlfriend, or whom you could say, I mean, he's married, but he had, he was he's committing, I guess, infidelity, breaking his marriage vows, you can say, with a young woman, who shot him to death while he was sleeping on the couch. That's how he came to an end. But I didn't know we were going to go to this angle, but just since you mentioned the Tennessee Titans, and the Super Bowl will be on the birth date anniversary of Steve McNair, who is the quarterback in the only Super Bowl they've been to. So that's kind of interesting.
Well, yeah, and on top of that, I'm just noticing the number 9. We've talked about the number 9 specifically because the NFL season starts on 9/9. but also I'm just thinking about the last name McNair. It almost it's almost taking me back to Michael Jordan vibes. Air Jordan and all those things.
Yeah, that's his nickname. They should say it here. Yeah, here's his nickname is Air.
His nickname is Air. Yeah, exactly. So
that's Jordan. So you're right. Yeah, that does give you Jordan vibes. Yeah, and
yes,
and there is I do see some Super Bowl connections. I didn't know. Yeah, so you talk about the Clash of the Titans in Greek mythology. It's called the Titanomachy. Is the official title. The Titanomachy. A 10-year war fought in ancient Thessaly, consisting of most of the Titans, the older generation of gods, based on Mount Othrys, fighting against the Olympians. And these are all tied into planets, because who are the Olympians? They were mostly children of Zeus, who's Jupiter. And his children are people like Hermes, who's Mercury, Aphrodite, who's Venus. These are, and they are fighting against Kronos, and Kronos is Saturn. So so this War of the God, Battle of the Titans, is related to where's that graphic? The Hayden Planetarium. So that is an interesting connection, and I actually showed that. I will show how there are some other Super Bowl connections, but I'll start my presentation with I'm working on a decode now, which just so happens to have some tie-ins to the reported death of Hayden Planetary. So what I was working on is based on a graphic that you had showed in a couple of weeks ago in a decode of yours of Kobe Bryant. This was in 2013. He posted on social media the meal that he consumed before his historic 81-point performance. He scored 81 points in a game in 2006, which was the second highest at the time, second highest ever point total by an individual player in an NBA game, 81 points by one player. And he said that the night before that performance, he had consumed pepperoni pizza and grape juice, which, I mean, it's remarkable only that in that professional athletes or athletes of any level, even if you want to do some strenuous work, they say around the home or something, it doesn't have to be athletics. The last thing you want to do is consume something sugary, let alone a professional elite athlete. It's remarkable in that sense, but what made it more remarkable in retrospect is the Epstein files, where that combination that Kobe Bryant purported appears to be a euphemism for the activity that Jeffrey Epstein and his associates had been engaging in. So then in retrospect, you look back to 2013 when he tweeted it, because people didn't know about the Epstein and the euphemisms back then. The Pizzagate, yes, but not this. Pizzagate wasn't until 2016 either, come to think of it. So no, these euphemisms for this activity hadn't really been a major thing in the public consciousness. So now you do have to look back and say, wait a minute, what is Kobe Bryant talking about? Was it just, maybe it is a coincidence. Maybe he did just eat pepperoni pizza and grape soda, which is, that's not what a professional athlete or any athlete of any level, a high school athlete, consumes before, or it's a night before, but still. It is remarkable in that sense. So in retrospect, you do have to wonder. So that's actually what the decode video that I'm working on now, it should be maybe 15 minutes video. I've edited half of it. So all I need to is decode the second half, finish the second half, but I do have the intro, which is, it's only a 30-second intro, and I do have an excerpt from my video. But after that, I'd also like to show a decode from a very popular decoder, Dimitri, from Reality Revolt. His Instagram video on the Hayden Planetary, I think, does tie in to what I talk about in my video, Kobe Bryant and Jeffrey Epstein and the grape soda and pepperoni pizza, which seems to be a symbol, it does tie in, because as Dimitri does show in his video, Hayden Planetary did say that she was a victim of that kind of activity. So she does tie in to that sense. So she actually, she probably has a similar life experience as some of the women now, girls at the time, in the Epstein files. So it does all tie together with this issue. Unfortunately, it's an issue. So yeah, so this is the intro to my video, an excerpt, a short excerpt from my video, and then I'll show Dimitri's video from Reality Revolt, and then I'll show how some of these things tie in. Hopefully there will be volume. Can you hear it?
I can hear it, Rambo. You're good.
Yeah, that's the intro. It's called Unholy Eucharist.
Anyone who thinks that Kobe Bryant's 2013 mention of pepperoni pizza and grape soda could not possibly have any connection to Jeffrey Epstein's mentions of pizza with grape soda, and that it's pure, unfounded conspiracy, should consider that when Kobe Bryant was announced to have died in the helicopter crash of January 26, 2020, Twitter, now X, one of the greatest information and communication venues in the world, used a Jeffrey Epstein thumbnail to announce Kobe Bryant's death. From Google, quote, a photo of Jeffrey Epstein briefly appeared as the thumbnail for the Kobe Bryant trending topic on Twitter following Bryant's tragic death on January 26, 2020. This strange occurrence was not an intentional choice or a targeted attack, but rather a technical glitch within Twitter's automated algorithmic system, unquote. Of course it was. Glitches happen. We can still go ahead and question Kobe's historic performance meal.
"81 points in a single game." What sticks out for you from that game?
Probably the fact that I had pepperoni pizza the night before the game.
Yeah, so this is another. I just stumbled on this. I'd already done my decode, and then I stumbled on this when I'd already finished my decode. I was basing it on the pepperoni and pizza and grape soda that are mentioned in the Epstein files in some of his email communications, and the fact that Kobe Bryant, coincidentally, had mentioned those two food items as a combination for a historic game, a historic moment. I had no idea. I just stumbled on this after I'd finished my decode that on Twitter, on the day that Kobe Bryant was announced to have died in the helicopter crash, Twitter, quote unquote, accidentally used a picture of Jeffrey Epstein as their thumbnail for their report on the death of Kobe Bryant. What are the odds? That was in 2020. So I can understand how some people maybe not in this community, but outside of this community, we'll say this is a stretch. This is what conspiracy people do. You just make these associations that have, okay, they have loose connections. They'll say that it's a stretch to compare these unrelated phenomena just because of grape soda and pizza. A lot of people consume grape soda and pizza. But, and I just stumbled on this after I finished my decode, it turns out that Twitter put Jeffrey Epstein's face as a thumbnail for their story on the death of Kobe Bryant. Now, what are the odds that it ties in, especially with that grape soda pizza connection? Yeah, so this is an excerpt from my video. It'll be approximately 15 minutes. What are the odds? At this point, if you don't think there's a connection, then the ball is in the court of conspiracy, a coincidence theorist. That's too much of a coincidence. Twitter made that assumption, trying to believe that's an accident. Because of course, that's your thumbnail. Kobe Bryant died from a helicopter crash. Oh my God! Let's put the picture on. Let's get a thumbnail. Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. And so this is the thing. So again, so does this mean that Kobe Bryant engaged in that? I don't know. He could have.
It is interesting too, just the word choice here of this particular tweet that you're showing, youthful metabolism. I mean, without getting into the, the granular details about everything that we understand about, Epstein and all of those things, right? I just think it's an interesting choice of words as well to emphasize a youthful metabolism.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that he does emphasize that. Now, another thing, too, is a lot of people who perpetrate these things were victims themselves. Very often, as a victim of this kind of activity, at any age, but especially from a young age, they can turn into sociopaths as well. And then they become perpetrators. And he might not be conscious. Oh, just the way he laughs in that interview, it appears as if he is conscious. It does. Just the way he laughs. It's an awkward laugh. And again, there's no proof of anything. The way he laughs, it looks like he knows what he's saying. He knows. And at the time, nobody knew because the Epstein details hadn't come out yet. So that awkward laugh, in retrospect, it looks like he knew what he was talking about, unfortunately. But he also could have been at a young age, something could have happened to him. Now, that's not part of his official life narrative. But very often, people in these positions, and in every position, walk of life, have also been victims, and a lot of perpetrators were victims as well. This could be coded onto him as well, possibly, as both a victim or a perpetrator. Nonetheless, this is too much to be coincidence. Twitter let us know. I mean, this is no justification for that, for using Jeffrey Epstein for a thumbnail on your report of Kobe Bryant's death. So this is an excerpt from my full video. Now, I also want to share what Reality Revolt from Instagram, what he found in his Instagram post on Hayden Panettiere, which is related because it has to do with this this topic of exploitation.
La mort de Hayden Panettiere est un sacrifice codé. Elle est morte le 16 août, 8-16, après avoir été l'invitée de l'épisode 816 du podcast de Jay Shetty, où elle disait avoir été abusée.
She physically put me in the bed next to this man.
Ses initiales HP collent parfaitement à la date. H est la 8e lettre, P est la 16e, 8-16. Elle meurt 3 mois et 6 jours après le podcast, à 36 ans et 360 jours. 36 est le nombre triangulaire de 666. En gématria, mort sacrificielle est égale à 666. Et dès la saison 1, elle est présentée comme une proie et abusée sexuellement. Dans la saison 4, elle meurt d'un arrêt cardiaque. La même cause aujourd'hui mentionnée dans les médias, parce que sa mort était préméditée.
Goodness.
Yeah, so that was a hard-hitting, as usual, with Reality Revolt, but Decode on Instagram. So follow Reality Revolt on Instagram and have some things to tie into that, especially with her death age, 36 or 36 triangular. This is the thumbnail for my Unholy Eucharist video, which I'm halfway through editing it. I should have it done soon, but this is Kobe Bryant, Jeffrey Epstein, Pizzagate, the name game. So they play a lot of games with the names. There's a lot of interesting name games that they play with, which I will show in my video with related subjects. So he brought up the 36, her age at 36 and the 36 triangular number. So Kobe Bryant was also famously involved in a case where he was accused of, they say SA, I guess people don't say. I guess you get flagged, you can get shadow banned, I guess, for using certain terms. But SA is what they use for, as he showed the Hayden Planetary, she said that she was a victim of this. And Kobe Bryant famously was accused in 2003 of doing that. So there's a 36 year as well, because the date of the alleged violation by Kobe Bryant was the 30th of June. This was in 2003. So 30th of June can be 306, which in numerology is the same as 36. Now, some of the details there is that she made the accusation. He was charged. They gave evidence. There was physical evidence, like DNA that was taken. There was Kobe Bryant's testimony in that case. And what happened was, suddenly the accuser of Kobe Bryant decided to drop the case. Suddenly dropped the case inexplicably. And that's how Kobe Bryant got off any arrests, or he was never found guilty of anything, because the plaintiff decided to drop the charges. It's just significant. That's a difference between the trial having been completed and the jury, based on the evidence provided, judging that Kobe Bryant was innocent or not guilty. That's different. If that was a result of the jury's findings as a result of the court case. There was no court case. That's the thing. And that's the basis on which Kobe Bryant was able to walk free. But so this 36 is interesting here because of the date. The location is also interesting because it ties into other things. So the Kobe Bryant incident happened in Colorado. It was at a hotel in Colorado. In popular culture, when you think of a hotel in Colorado, what hotel in Colorado is huge in popular culture? A classic, the Overlook Hotel in Stephen King's The Shining, whose movie adaptation starred Jack Nicholson. The Overlook Hotel. That's the world famous, most world famous Colorado hotel. And this Kobe Bryant incident happened at a Colorado hotel. Could there be some tie-ins there? I just couldn't help noticing those themes. But so here's a name that will be relevant. It's related to the 36 code, which is 30th June, reduced in numerology, take away the 0. June, so 36 can also be the 3rd of June as well, or June 3rd. The 3rd of June or June 3rd. Here's a name that's not famous, but it's relevant. It just ties into this. Dolores Dixon is 63 in 2 of the Pythagorean ciphers, forward and reverse. Or you could call it full reduction and full reduction reverse. Dolores Dixon. Who is Dolores Dixon? Dolores Dixon is another purported victim of SA by a celebrity athlete. A celebrity athlete, believe it or not, very few athletes in history have a bigger name than Kobe Bryant. Very few do. Michael Jordan is bigger, maybe Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Pele. I mean, you can name a few. Very few have a bigger name than Kobe Bryant. The person, celebrity athlete whom Dolores Dixon accused, is one of the few athletes who has an even bigger name than Kobe Bryant. And that athlete is Babe Ruth. The GOAT, greatest of all time of baseball. Famous New York Yankees slugger who was also a star for the Boston Red Sox. He was both a pitcher and a home run hitter, slugger, in 1922. And he was known for his hyper libido. I mean, it was legendary. When you're like that, it's almost inevitable that at some point you'll be accused. It was never proven in court, so history will only record it as an accusation. So you'll never really know. You can't judge either party. It's unfair to someone just because they're accused to assume they were, even though somebody of his stature, you can understand how it's very difficult for just a quote unquote everyday person, such as Dolores Dixon, to get a conviction of somebody at his had a god status of Babe Ruth. So you take that into account. But you can never really judge. You just don't know. Nonetheless, this is a famous accuser. And this number shows up, the 6336, like June 3rd. And Hayden Planetary, who's also a victim. She dies at 36. But Dolores Dixon it is a relevant name to this subject. And it's very interesting how she has a double 63. I'll get more to that about Dolores Dixon and how Babe Ruth ties into this. Okay, I'll get to that. I talked about it a couple weeks ago. The word grape, how it has become a euphemism for a certain SA. And this is the explanation. Online grape is an algo speak, euphemism, and deliberate misspelling used to bypass automated content filters and censorship on platforms like TikTok and Instagram when referring to the actual thing. Users frequently pair the word with the grape emoji to discuss sexual violence without getting penalized or shadow banned. So again, that's more significance to grape. Does that mean that every time you see grape it means that? No, it doesn't. But it is used and it is relevant. And it is interesting that Kobe Bryant was accused. And also consider the circumstances under which he was acquitted. Is that he wasn't actually found innocent or not guilty based on the evidence because there was no court case. But some evidence and his testimony was heard. So his accusation, his alleged event violation happened on the 30th of June in 2003. Kobe Bryant was accused of SA in July 2003. That's when the accusation came out. The allegations were made by a 19-year-old. 19 is very relevant here. A 19-year-old hotel employee. I'll get to it later in the decode, but I might as well say it now. How old do you think Dolores Dixon was when she alleged that Babe Ruth violated her? Well, we'll find out.
Guess 19.
Good guess. Well, you know your history. Yeah, so 19 is interesting. We talk about the prevalence of 19. Yeah, that happened to be Dolores Dixon's age. I like to give shout outs and credit. Somebody in my Patreon suggested this, and I get so many suggestions, and I appreciate all the input, and I simply forgot who it is. I'd love to shout him out. I simply forgot who it is who pointed this out to me of where the soda, what soda is a code for. Because of the grape soda that was mentioned by Kobe Bryant and Jeffrey Epstein. Somebody, I really wish I could give him a shout out. I simply forgot. With all the suggestions I get and input, I forgot who suggested this. But soda, they say, it's a code for the first and last letters of the word soda, which is SA, which is the S, assault. And then the middle two words are OD. And they brought this up several weeks ago, long before this a Planetary, her news happened. But look at this. Hayden Planetary suffered apparent OD. And she just gave that testimony, as you saw in Dimitri's video, about her being a victim of SA. And then she dies. So she was a victim of SA. And then she dies, they say. We don't have her to speak for herself. All we can go by is the official story. We don't have any proof otherwise or any other testimony that she died of OD, which ties into what this patron, I wish I could remember who said that because this is brilliant. It ties right in, and this does look like it is a legitimate theory as to what soda could be a euphemism for. SA and OD in the middle. And that's how she's purported to have died OD. But look what happened with Kobe Bryant's alleged, his accuser, we'll say. This is from the Wikipedia page on this incident, Kobe Bryant SA allegations. Bryant's defense lawyer, Pamela Mackey, asserted that the accuser was taking an antipsychotic drug for the treatment of schizophrenia at the time of the incident. Lindsay McKinney, who lived with the accuser, said the woman twice tried to kill herself at school by overdosing. So the overdosing on sleeping pills. So the OD is, this is dark stuff, but it's a reality of what's going on. The truth community has expanded now. It's almost borderline mainstream at this point, but this doesn't seem to be, we don't really have statistics on this. It continues and continues. And someone like her are an example how this is not just celebrities. What it looks like to me is this accuser of Kobe Bryant is very likely a trafficked individual as well, an exploited individual as well. So they end up in different locations. So she sounds just like the women in the Epstein scandal. And it's not just Jeffrey Epstein, but the Epstein scandal has exposed the number of big names that are associated with this. And a very big name in the Epstein files has been King Charles, the King of Britain himself. King Charles' name came up. We already had Prince Andrew, who's King Charles's brother. He's been implicated with very strong evidence, and he lost his title of prince. He's no longer prince as a result of this. And you'll find some people who say that the Epstein files are a distraction. There are many very serious incidents that are happening now, very serious issues. And certain people, if they feel that a certain issue should be the priority, they'll describe the other issues as distractions. So some people feel that the Epstein files are distraction. I find it interesting, and they'll say things like the war. So some people will say that no, the war against Iran is a distraction from the Epstein files and other things. I don't think either one of them is a distraction. They're all important issues, but so many of them are happening right now while earthquakes go off. Like, I've never seen so many devastating earthquakes. Indonesia just got hit, after Colombia got hit, after Venezuela got hit, and then Japan had gotten hit. And then serious wildfires in Canada and across Europe, wildfires. All this is, there's a lot going on. None of it is a distraction. The wildfires aren't a distraction. None of it is a distraction. But I just find it interesting that the Epstein files dropped off the list of high-profile media stories when it turned out that King Charles's name is in the Epstein files. You can't get a bigger name. You have the Dalai Lama's name is in there, but King Charles, then it lost its priority. So this is serious. So it looks like the Kobe Bryant accuser she's a victim as well of who's in the same boat as the women that you see who were girls, some of them at the time, in the Epstein files. So this is it's a serious issue, and it affects a lot of people. We hear about it when a celebrity is involved. When Jeffrey Epstein, all his celebrities, when Prince Andrew's involved, when Kobe Bryant is involved. But they're victims to on large scale. Unfortunately, their stories aren't heard when it does not involve a celebrity. Nonetheless, that's how I feel. So Hayden Panettiere's testimony as a victim herself, some of them do end up in Hollywood. Some of them do end up as entertainers. Some of them could end up as athletes. There are male victims as well. The Diddy files, what we'll call them Diddy files, but the Diddy case, Sean Combs, that showed some of the victims in specifically the hip hop aspect of the musical industry. And Justin Bieber's name came up in that too. Justin Bieber's a victim too. So there are male victims as well. And some athletes, although it's not in everybody's official bio, some male athletes have been victims as well. A few athletes have come out and said that it happened to them. But nonetheless, unfortunately, this is what ties us all together. So this is the thing. So as far as Kobe Bryant's accuser is concerned, I've noticed that media outlets, including Wikipedia, do not give her name out because you're actually not legally, you're not supposed to release the name of a victim or an accuser. If somebody alleges to have been a victim, before the court case is heard, it's illegal to give the victim's name out to the public. Now, if a court case is heard and the accused is found to be innocent or the allegations are proven to be false, then their name can be released to the public legally. Also, in this case, I just want to read what the status is legally for the victim of the accuser of Kobe Bryant. I just wanted to make sure, because I noticed even now in 2026, no media outlets mention her name. But it says public court record. When the accuser of Kobe Bryant filed a subsequent civil lawsuit against Kobe Bryant in late 2004, a federal judge ruled that she could not proceed anonymously. So a federal judge ruled that she cannot be anonymous by law. She chose to refile the lawsuit under her actual name, making it a permanent matter of public court record. So I'm just saying that to show that her name legally is on public record, and legally you can print her name without repercussion because she actually herself signed off on that. So this is just to clarify that. This is from an AI search. I asked, is it legal to print the name of, and I put the name in 2026, and they say yes, it is legal, but still sources such as Wikipedia and others still do not do that. And the AI source is the University of Texas. So nonetheless, without giving her name out, her birthday is June 18th, 1985. And why is that relevant? Because it's an anagram of the numbers related to Hayden Panettiere that Dimitri laid out. He laid out her date of death. He talked about her initials, HP. H is the 8th letter, P is the 16th letter. So 816. And he showed the other 816s, and then she's reported to have died on 816. Kobe Bryant's accuser, her birthday is an anagram of 816. It's June 18th at 6:18, or 18th June 18:6. It's interesting that that's an anagram as well, and how it ties in. And she appears to be in the same boat as Hayden Panettiere has. They end up in different places, like I said. They can end up in Hollywood. They can end up on the street. They can end up in prostitution rings. those kind of things, such as the victims of Epstein, they can end up in different places. But it's so interesting how this 618 anagram shows up. Hayden Panettiere is reported dead on August 16th. What famous person died on August 16th? Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth, Elvis Presley as well, died on August 16th. But for the sake of this decode, I'm sure he ties in, but from what this is what I see in the tie-ins, Babe Ruth ties in a lot more directly because Panettiere says she was a victim. You saw her testimony there, and you can see she is an actor. I don't think she's acting there. She looks traumatized, and looks very genuinely difficult for her to recall the trauma that she's reporting. Babe Ruth's August 16th death date is more relevant than Elvis Presley's, from what I can see, because Babe Ruth is directly tied to this. Now, Babe Ruth is not proven guilty. He was accused. But he's 816 as well, so he ties in, and you see how she died at 36, and how Babe Ruth's, the name of Babe Ruth's accuser, Dolores Dixon, 63, in two Pythagorean ciphers, so he ties in as well. I had already been seeing some Babe Ruth symbolism going around in 2026. I don't know. Does that mean the Yankees will be in the World Series? Maybe. I mean, it could be pointing to the Yankees. I'm not a sports predicting channel pick, but very often I will see how sports ties into some of the events like this non-sports event. And even before this, I had been noticing some Babe Ruth coding, especially with the GOAT symbols. He's the GOAT. I've been talking about it in my most recent videos, especially after the World Cup. The baby symbolism, especially baby boy symbolism. With the World Cup, it was all over the World Cup. You had the president of FIFA, whose last name is Infantino. He's the controversial president, Infantino. What is Babe Ruth's? Well, Babe is his nickname, but he's also called Bambino. Bambino is an Italian word for a male baby. You had Lamine Yamal, the GOAT, and the kid. And that picture of the baby Yamal being bathed, and he ends up in the World Cup final playing against Lionel Messi, the man who was bathing him in the picture. And then there were two baby stories during the World Cup. KODI Gakpo of the Netherlands, his wife loses a baby to a miscarriage during the World Cup. Then Jeremy Doku of Belgium, his baby boy is born. I believe it was in Manchester, England, and he left the World Cup temporarily to attend the birth of his baby boy, and then that blew up with somebody it was blown up so it could be part of the consciousness, the baby boy. You had Justin Bieber on the poster for the halftime show performance at the World Cup, which featured Lamine Yamal and Lionel Messi, where he's holding a baby over his head.
Doesn't he have a song called Baby too?
Yes,
and Bieber Baby. I mean, just the last name alone is it's all right there with that wordplay again.
Yes, that was actually his breakout hit. That's the hit that his breakthrough hit. His first really big hit was the song Baby. So this does tie into something else that I've been talking about, with notably the World Cup and the baby boy symbolism. And I had been noticing Babe Ruth. I can kind of segue. I don't know. I can't.
If I can just make one observation or one comment about this Babe Ruth thing. It's interesting you point that out, because it was just a couple years ago we had the death of James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
And he talk about another very famous actor, but for me personally, I remember him as the blind neighbor in The Sandlot, and his death. Also he voiced Darth Vader. Something to think about. But he died right before the World Series when you had the Dodgers facing off against the Yankees, and that was what the whole Sandlot movie was about. Well, I mean, essentially the only two teams that are referenced in that movie were the Dodgers and the Yankees.
Yeah.
So another thing to think about for this upcoming World Series. But I just wanted to point out that, yeah, I mean, this kind of Babe Ruth Sandlot stuff has been kind of floating around, at least going back to the death of James Earl Jones. Just want to throw that in there.
Yeah,
this wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned James Earl Jones because he seems to be in the middle of everything. The other baseball movie, which I talked about last week, was Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams, yeah.
James Earl Jones is in Field of Dreams as well.
Oh, he is. That's right. Oh, my goodness. I forgot about that.
I've talked about how Lionel Messi, talking about the World Cup, and how Lionel Messi is bathing the baby, the future GOAT, the kid, Lionel Messi, the GOAT. He's bathing, coincidentally, this barely newborn child who turns out to be the future GOAT. And I pointed out how it's the same archetypal symbolism from the Lion King, Lionel Messi. He has lion in his name. His birthday is the birthday of John the Baptist, June 24th. So he's literally baptizing Lamine Yamal. Well, the Lion King debuted on Lionel Messi's birthday. And
that's right.
And I showed how it's the same archetype of the father and the son. So Lamine Yamal is playing the role of the son of Lionel Messi, clearly. He's Horus. Lionel Messi is Osiris. It's related to the son. We're talking about the 19-year-old accusers for both Babe Ruth and for Kobe Bryant. They're both 19. 19 is a tarot card for the son. 19 is all over Lionel Messi and Lamine Yamal narrative. I mean, we've gone over and over the 19s on that. And it's the sun card. The sun rules the zodiac sign of Leo. The symbol of Leo is the lion. That all ties in well. The voice of the father, Mufasa, who would be Osiris, is voiced by James Earl Jones. So it's just funny that you mentioned James Earl Jones. He's in the middle of everything.
Well, and you know, it also just got me thinking about the movie you and I also spoke about briefly, which was The Big Green. Remember we talked about Big Green, and the main character or actor in that movie he plays Ham in The Sandlot. But it's all boomeranging back to me right now because The Big Green, talk about goat symbolism. There's a big goat theme, like the mascot of the team is a goat, essentially.
Oh, wow.
And the very end of the movie, the deal is like, hey, if we beat you in this championship game, then you have to kiss the goat. And that's essentially what happens at the end of that movie. But I think about the name The Big Green, too. And I just wanted to emphasize, too, you can't escape these love themes, including the death of Hayden. And I say that because just notice that she died in Greenville, right? She died of cardiac arrest, another heart attack, essentially, and she died in Greenville, green being the heart chakra. We've talked a lot about that as well. Hulk Hogan, right? The Incredible Hulk, who's green, died of a heart attack, etc. But yeah, no, I just want to emphasize the love theme there too, with the death of Hayden, dying from a heart attack in Greenville. It's right there.
Yeah, and there's so much going on. Last week I mentioned I do have a decode coming up. There was a story in the news in Washington, D.C., where somebody had his pet goat. You know, when you hear, what do you think of when you hear pet goat? But somebody in Washington, D.C. had their pet goat on the subway in Washington, D.C., and he made the news. He was riding.
And sorry, really quick, shout out Coded Dogs. You were just talking about Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Yeah.
He's from Greenville.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a good one. I got to write that one.
Yeah,
and that's in Field of Dreams.
There you go.
Who mentioned that? I want to shout him.
Shout out Coded Dogs. Just mentioned Shoeless Joe Jackson from Greenville.
Wow, that's a great one. That's a great tie-in.
Yeah.
At least I do make a note of that one. That's
definitely.
Yeah, and again, Shoeless Joe Jackson is famous for the Black Sox scandal, and that's the Chicago White Sox when they were proven to have thrown the World Series in 1919. See how the 19 ties in again? I brought that up near the end of last week's broadcast. the 1919 World Series. That's the one where Shoeless Joe and his teammates were found guilty of throwing the World Series. And Shoeless Joe Jackson is brought back to life with some of his teammates in Field of Dreams. So yeah, that is a great tie in there with Shoeless Joe Jackson's hometown. That is really interesting. But so the 8/16 again. So August 16, Hayden Panettiere dies on the anniversary of the death of Babe Ruth. Also, just to segue a little bit, so another reason I've been on Babe Ruth symbolism this year is the number of home runs he hit. It's a very famous number in baseball, which is 714. Babe Ruth, I'll go to Wikipedia. Babe Ruth hit 714 career home runs. Here are the home runs, 714. And that home run record stood for a long time until Hank Aaron broke that record in, I forgot what year it was, but Hank Aaron broke this 714 number. The reason that this was 714 came up from my observations in 2026 is the Air Canada crash in New York City. On the tail of the plane, hopefully I can get a clearer picture, 714 was on the tail of the plane. If I can get a clear picture. Usually it comes right up. You can barely see it. It's 7. No, you can't see it there. But
Back on that 322 date too.
Yeah, it is on 322. But the main connection with Babe Ruth was the 714.
714, yeah.
On the tail of the plane. It's actually in that.
What if you just typed in flight 714 at the end there at the top?
No, it's on the tail. It's a number on the plane. So that's not the flight number.
Oh, okay.
It's on the. I think it identifies the plane itself. I think this should be pretty clear. I don't know if you can see the. Okay, that just makes it smaller. You can see the 714 here.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw that 714, which is on the tail, I immediately thought of. Oh no, I think this is clear. This is the clearest shot you're going to get.
Yeah.
There you go. 714. That's what made me think of Babe Ruth initially this year. When I saw that 714, that's Babe Ruth, his home run record that was broken by Hank Aaron of the Atlanta Braves. And it also made me think of an event. So the Atlanta Braves were originally from Milwaukee. I think they were the Boston Braves. Then they were the Milwaukee Braves. Now they're the Atlanta Braves. And they were so when Hank Aaron joined them, I believe they were still the Milwaukee Braves. Then they moved to Atlanta. When they were the Atlanta Braves, that's when Hank Aaron broke Babe Ruth's 714 home runs record. So this is a really big number in baseball, specifically as it ties into Babe Ruth. Now, another incident that happened on 714, so this ties into the Milwaukee Brewers, because Hank Aaron, at the time, his career was pretty much over. He was ready to retire, but they brought him to the Milwaukee Brewers for ritualistic reasons. They wanted him to retire as a Milwaukee Brewer because they wanted him to retire in Milwaukee, which is the original home of the Braves. And the Milwaukee Braves and Milwaukee Brewers today have retired Hank Aaron's number 44 jersey number. So he is heavily related with Milwaukee and the Brewers. I say that because in Milwaukee,
Rambo.
Yep.
I gotta say something. Can you do me a favor? Just open up another tab and type in Milwaukee Brewers score right now.
All right.
As you're talking about the Milwaukee Brewers specifically, I can't remember the last time I've seen a score like this in Major League Baseball.
I'll put today.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my God. That is insane.
22-0 today.
Wow.
Beat the Mariners 22-0. Anyways, sorry, Rambo.
No.
You're talking about the Milwaukee Brewers specifically, and I just looked up at the ticker here on ESPN, and I go, oh my God, look at that.
No, that is interesting. So, because the Brewers are contenders. Look at their record, 77-48. I mean, there are not too many teams that win 77 games.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have the best record in but they are contenders for the World Series, which is why I'm really wondering about all this Babe Ruth symbolism and the 714 symbolism, because there was another incident in Milwaukee, which is while their new stadium was under construction, it actually killed some iron workers. It was in 1999, while building the Milwaukee Brewers Stadium, a crane collapsed, and the roof, they were putting up the new roof. They were actually trying an illegal procedure. The wind gusts were too high, but they did it anyway. But look at when it happened. It happened on 7/14, July 14th. Just so happens to happen on 7/14. That was the Miller Park roof collapse. And now 7/14 is a thing. That was in 1999. So also looked up who was in the World Series in 1999.
Isn't that San Diego Yankees? Is that
No.
Padres Yankees?
No, not at all. So who broke Babe Ruth's record? Hank Aaron did. The 7/14. So this roof collapse happened on 7/14, the date 7/14 in 1999, the year that the Yankees played the Atlanta Braves in the
Braves, yes.
You see how it
the
all
Yankees
ties in?
went back. Yeah.
But you see how it all ties in. Yankees, Braves, that's Babe Ruth, whose 7/14 was eclipsed by the Atlanta Braves, Hank Aaron. And on 7/14, in the same year, the Milwaukee Brewers, who were originally the Milwaukee Braves, their roof collapsed on 7/14. And they've retired Hank Aaron's number as well.
Coded Dogs also mentioned that Hank Aaron also played for the Greenville Braves.
Oh, wow, he's on fire with the Greenville thing.
Yeah.
I got to write that down.
Coded Dogs on fire. That's a good one.
I'm just writing that down. So he played for Greenville.
Greenville Braves, yeah. And then once again, it all ties back to the love themes. We know that the Super Bowl is on Valentine's Day next year. Green's the heart chakra, another heart cardiac arrest death, now this time in Greenville. So,
yeah, but it's tying into baseball for whatever reason. I'm just pointing out these threads and these common elements. Who knows? Is this telling you anything about the World Series? Maybe, maybe not. But he's involved in a grape.
You know, Milwaukee kind of, with everything you've been talking about, Rambo, for a very long time now, with the cycle, right? The center of the web being the cycle. I mean, just the name Milwaukee kind of reminds me of the cycle, like a windmill, mill.
Yeah, mill.
Right. Yeah. A windmill, and then walkie. It kind of makes me think of like a hamster wheel walking on the wheel.
Oh, that's no, that's really good. That's brilliant.
Yeah, like Milwaukee. It's almost kind of like you're walking on a windmill. I don't know.
No,
I love that
hamster.
wordplay. So
No. That's brilliant. Walking on a mill. Absolutely, yes. It's a treadmill. So sometimes they can use that symbolism to indicate a person being trapped, never being to get off of. It could be different things. Sometimes they have people in a debt trap. Sometimes they'll take advantage of a certain labor where they'll have them unable to get away from their employer because the employer will put them in debt and they still have to pay off the debt, but they know it's debt that they can't pay off.
right.
Situations like that, they can use that hamster wheel symbolism to indicate that as well. So there are many contexts in which that wheel can, but still, I think hamster wheel and mill and walk, I think that is a brilliant observation, honestly.
It's got to be something there. I mean, especially since it's right up the road from the Ferris wheel in Chicago. We've talked a lot about that too.
Yeah, which we'll talk about that. So I actually did ask. I wondered about Babe Ruth. So these are like the details on Babe Ruth. While the New York Yankees legend was widely known for his intense philandering, heavy drinking, and frequenting brothels, his lifestyle crossed into legal jeopardy when a $50,000 lawsuit, this is in 1922, $50,000, was filed against him by, there's her age, 19-year-old Dolores Dixon. So this is why I mentioned Dolores Dixon. Just to briefly go over the case, late in 1922, Dolores Dixon, a teenage sales clerk at a Manhattan department store, filed a breach of promise lawsuit against Ruth. She accused the baseball star of S.A., her, on multiple occasions and subsequently impregnating her. Because of her age, when the alleged encounters began, the suit included accusations of statutory. Dixon claimed that when she confronted Ruth about the pregnancy, he told her to, quote, go to hell, leaving her disabled and despondent. So this is the context in which I mentioned her at the beginning and how you see how it ties in with Kobe Bryant and the pizza and grape soda. And does grape soda and pizza mean more with Kobe Bryant? I'm seeing how all this ties in. It doesn't really look good for Kobe. I think there's a possibility Kobe might have been. This is nothing that's been alleged at all, but I suspect he might have been a victim himself. Not that excuses being a perpetrator. Granted, has he been proven guilty in a court? No, but his testimony doesn't look good. And the fact that the court didn't determine he was innocent or not guilty, it was because she dropped the case. There was DNA evidence. It doesn't look good for him, but nonetheless, Dolores Dixon, now we can go back and see Dolores Dixon just happened to be 19 years old also. So, yeah, these things all tie in. Oh, the dates, the 8/16, the 6/18, June 18th, the 6/18, which is his death date, Hayden Panettiere's death date was on the anniversary of his death date. That's also an anagram of 6/18 or 18/6, which is the birthday of Kobe's accuser. So yeah, it's interesting how it all ties in together. And the 19 again, there's that 19. Now 19 is it's the sun card. And just these are some of the dark details, but this is the world we live in, and it just continues. I don't know if there'll ever be any justice for this at this level. It does make you question this realm that we live in.
Well, the chat was pointing out too. Just look at the last name, Dixon. Get it?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like
that's another thing.
It's everywhere.
So yeah. So I even do mention. I don't mention that, but in my Decode Unholy Eucharist, I talk about the name game. So that is a good observation. There is a name game, and I point out several of them out in my video. You do have to wonder with these names. How does the name fit so perfectly? There is a
George Floyd is another perfect one. His teacher, right?
Yeah.
That right? Just Waynell Sexton, I believe
Oh,
his
really?
name was.
Oh, wow, that is very interesting. I had no
Yeah.
idea. I had absolutely no idea. But that's
That must have escaped you, Rambo. I got a feeling that probably just got buried deep somewhere for you. But yeah, if you just typed in Waynell Sexton, George Floyd, apparently that was a teacher that came out of the woodwork after his death.
yeah. I don't know. Buried deep in my memory. No, I never heard of.
You're like, I would have remembered this.
Yes, I don't know where you came up with that one. Buried. I don't know. That was a weird one, but okay, whatever. His yeah. I don't know where you came up with that one.
Yeah.
Teacher name. George Floyd's second grade teacher was Waynell Sexton. I'd never heard of this.
Yeah.
But that is interesting too. That is so interesting. I've talked about the initials WS.
Mm-hmm.
When did and what is typically when you hear WS, what do you think of?
World Series.
World Series. This is why I think this does tie into the World Series. Now, that plane number is 714, which is on the tail of the plane. That's 714. When did that accident happen? On March 22nd. But whose birthday is March 22nd? Whose birthday is March 22nd? I've done decodes on this, like at length on this. I guess those who follow my work should know that. March 22nd is William Shatner's birthday. Flight. Was it 46? I believe it was it 886, I believe? Or was it 8646? I believe it was flight 8646. Air Canada Express flight 8646. Date March 22nd, 2026. Whose birthday is that? W.S. William Shatner, World Series, which is why the 714 was relevant. Because that's Babe Ruth home run record, which was beaten by Atlanta Brave. And that 714 is the date, July 14th, which is the date that the crane collapsed in 1999, the year that the New York Yankees played the Atlanta Braves in the WS World Series. So this ties in. But yeah, I mean, I hadn't seen any decodes on this. So if there's a decode on this, maybe you can share a link on this Waynell Sexton thing. Because that's worth it.
I mean, George Floyd, but that story has been around for a very long time, and we talk about George Floyd fairly often. So yeah, I'm surprised you don't remember this one.
Yeah, but I'm surprised that the lengths to which I've talked about George Floyd, no one's ever brought this up. I literally brought George Floyd on with this huge panel. Remember the panel that you put together?
Yeah.
With what do we have? Like 8 other guests, and it was on the anniversary of George Floyd's death. Nobody brought it up. There were 8 other people. You didn't bring it up.
Including myself. I didn't bring it up.
You did, yeah. So I don't know. This is a funny reaction here, saying buried deep. I don't know. Even the name, the wordplay there, buried deep. Really? No. I mean, we're talking about wordplay. You say, "Oh, that's buried deep in your memory." When we're talking about this subject, I don't know. It doesn't sound too flattering. I'm not sure how conscious you were of that buried deep comment there, but we decode and we notice things, and I know.
All right, moving on.
Buried deep. Very interesting that you mentioned that, but nonetheless, WS World Series. William Shatner. Look, this is what's going on in the world. So like I said, you do have to ask when you see these names about the veracity of the story that's being covered. I mean, how do they have these names? It's almost like they're making a mockery of it. Was Babe Ruth Was this person's allegations legitimate? Does this person even exist? You have to ask.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy too, Rambo? I just realized in The Sandlot, they even say Baby Ruth in the movie. Remember when the little kid, he's like, yeah, some guy named Ruth. Remember he said, yeah, it was signed by somebody named Ruth. And then he says Baby Ruth, kind of like the candy. So it's like,
because he had the Babe Ruth card, right?
It was the signed baseball, right?
Oh, baseball.
That's kind of what the whole movie was about. Was he takes the baseball that's signed by Babe Ruth to go play with the kids and all that, and then they hit it over the fence and can't get it back, right? And then that's where James Earl Jones's character steps in. But like when he's explaining why that ball, like they needed to get the ball back, was because he goes, yeah, it was signed by somebody named Ruth, Baby Ruth, and then that's when all the kids freak out, and But anyways, they emphasize baby in that line of the movie.
So you see how all this ties in. There's so much Babe Ruth on an occulted level symbolism that it's been going around in 2026. And here it is again with Hayden Panettiere dying on the anniversary of the death of Babe Ruth, who was accused of things that she said she was a victim of.
Oh my God. Wow. You know what? King Bags, that's a great one. Look at this. You know what's one of the most popular lines in The Sandlot, Rambo, is when Babe Ruth comes back, he's like a ghost in a dream. And what does he say? He says, heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Do you remember that?
Yeah, Heroes.
Heroes,
yeah.
There you go.
That's a series that
Hayden's most known for was Heroes with the Eclipse, right?
So heroes get remembered, but
legends never die.
Legends never die. Yeah, that's huge. Again, and then she happens to die on the anniversary of his death.
There you go. Exactly. And she's known for Heroes.
Plus, a goat. Kobe Bryant is a goat, greatest of all time, is a hero. Babe Ruth is a hero. Kobe Bryant is a hero. So this hero symbolism is relevant here. But
yeah, that's a great one, King Bags. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die.
So, I mean, look, this is what's going on in the world, and it will be nice if, and who knows if all this exposure has put a dent in it at least. I mean, I'd imagine that it has to some degree, but you never really gauge. I imagine it has had an impact, and I think people who want to speak out should. And also looking at the reaction that people who speak out on this get, to me, suggests that it's not hopeless and something is being done. Otherwise, they wouldn't care. They just let people, because a lot of people who've been activists on this issue, especially celebrities, they will be removed from the scene. They'll be reported dead. Maybe if they are dead or if they're not really dead, they're removed from the scene. You'll never hear from them again. But they do react to people who really address this issue in concrete terms. To me, suggests that they are feeling some heat. Otherwise, they just wouldn't care. So I just hope that people don't feel discouraged on this. But this is still going on, and it's happening to people. It's part of the Kobe Bryant case. So one of the details, since this is an important subject, should be discussed. One of the details of Kobe Bryant's case, which he does not deny, it was his testimony, which corroborated what his accuser said, is that Kobe Bryant engaged with the accuser, in the activity that sounds like this, which thanks for bringing it up because it's very relevant to this. The activity that sounds like the name of George Floyd's teacher. Kobe Bryant had testified that, yes, indeed, that's what he did, which corroborated what she said he did. So this is 100% relevant to Kobe Bryant and this issue with the grape soda. Now I'm looking back at that grape soda and Kobe Bryant. It doesn't look like he just happened to drink that, and that awkward laugh that he does about how he ate pizza. That's what stands out about the 81, one of the greatest performances in sports history. What stands out about it? The meal that I ate the night before. Really, that doesn't sound credible. That's you're the person who performed one of the greatest athletic feats of all time, and that's what stands out to you. I don't believe that's what's, and that's why his laugh was really awkward. So this is very important. That is a big part of the Kobe Bryant court case. Now, this is the thing. I talked about why is there a prevalence of the number 19. Babe Ruth's accuser, Dixon, 19 years old. Kobe Bryant's accuser, 19 years old. 19 is the sun card that we've talked about. Here, 19-year-old Dolores Dixon. As we know, here it is on July 18th, 2003, news media reported that the sheriff's office in Eagle, Colorado had arrested Bryant in connection with an investigation of an SA complaint filed by a 19-year-old. Babe Ruth's accuser, 19 years old. This is very important. Who do I talk about almost every week? Aleister Crowley. One of the most extremely influential person. He'll always be relevant on human history and current events. Aleister Crowley, who famously performed sex magic. So he was doing actual magic rituals as opposed to just doing the acts. But it did incorporate that activity because it's so powerful. Think about what that activity does. That's how you create life. That activity has a direct connection to the spirit world because that's how a life is created. As a result, you get a life. So you can explain the biological part of it. You can't explain the spiritual part of it because a spirit also enters the body as a result. That tells you how powerful that is. It is extremely powerful. It's an understatement to say that, which is why magicians use it, which is why Jeffrey Epstein used it. He used it for manifestation rituals. It has a direct connection to the spirit world because through that you get a spirit entering a body. That's how powerful it is. Very, very powerful. As we know that Aleister Crowley engaged in sex magic, including the activity that sounds like the name of, now we know, which we hope we should have known this earlier, but now we know the name of George Floyd's teacher. This is the sun card on the Aleister Crowley tarot deck, not the Rider-Waite deck, not the Marseille deck, which is much older, or the older Italian decks. This is a distinct, the sun card number 19, the Roman numeral 19 on the Aleister Crowley tarot deck. Look at how the sun is depicted. Now, he didn't make the depictions. He described to an artist how to make the depictions from his vision. It is intentionally, the sun is intentionally made to resemble an anus. That is what the sun substitutes for in Aleister Crowley's The Sun card number 19.
If I can just add two other things here, when I'm thinking about Babe Ruth and your emphasis on the sun, makes me think of Sonny Bono. Remember Sonny Bono and the song I Got You Babe?
Yeah,
that's one of his most popular songs ever. I Got You Babe. And then we were talking about the 666 connections and the 36, etc. Just so you know, I'm looking at Sonny Bono's date of birth. He's got that February 16th birthday, the 216. So I mean that's the product of 6 times 6 times 6. So just want to throw that in there.
And you also wonder about where his name comes from. But the Aleister Crowley deck, this shows you the magic, the magical core, you could say the occulted archetype that is at the heart of this, what appears to have been a ritual. Now, we don't know. There's always this possibility. There's always this possibility, which I hope is what happened. But either way, I mean, there's no positives out of this. There's always that remote possibility that none of this happened, nobody was violated, and they just put the story out as a humiliation ritual for both of them because she ended up with 2 huge lawsuits payouts. She got the maximum allowable penalty Kobe Bryant had to pay for a civil case in the state of Colorado, which is $2.5 million. She also sued a publication that released her name before they were legally allowed to. Now they are legally allowed to release her name. She signed off on it, but before she signed off on that, her name was leaked by a tabloid, and she sued them. So she got a lawsuit for them and a lawsuit from Kobe Bryant, but she was humiliated as well. Kobe Bryant was humiliated. So there is this possibility that's all a humiliation ritual, and that none of it happened, and it's all being done in accordance with these archetypes, such as what we see with the sun. I mean, it's unlikely that it didn't happen, but there's a possibility that none of this actually happened. We just don't know, but that is a possibility. It puts out a vibration, and it does affect people deeply. People who are victims, they can get triggered by this. I mean, people who are just concerned, loved ones who believe it, and that's hypothetically if it didn't happen. People who care about Kobe Bryant, even sports fans, they don't like a hero being besmirched and think it's all fake. Even they're affected. It has immense vibrational power. You can call it loosh, if that's one term people can use for the power that these events or stories, even if they don't happen, even if they might not happen, can have if people believe they happen. And this is the archetypal core here. Aleister Crowley, who openly admitted that he engaged in this. As for sex magic, he also did it not for magic. In fact, Aleister Crowley coined a euphemism, and you can see it, you can just see it in his images. Aleister Crowley coined a euphemism for the anus, which he called the Eye of Horus. Aleister Crowley, when he says the Eye of Horus, sometimes that's what he did. This is Crowley. This is Crowley, man. This is a person who has a huge influence on pop culture, on government, on politics today. Aleister Crowley cannot be understated. Well, these are some of the images. His magic was uniquely powerful. There are other powerful magicians whose names we don't hear. Extremely powerful, maybe more powerful than Crowley, but we don't hear their names. But he's one of the few whose names we hear. But this is why you see the 19-year-old accusing Kobe Bryant, and Kobe Bryant agreed, acknowledged that yes, he did do that. She said that he did that, but he said it was consensual. He said it. Kobe Bryant said it was consensual, and then it's like these things get complicated. You know how these things can get complicated. But and also you can see, so in the Sun card, these things have to be mentioned. Might as well do it now. It hasn't been before. These are very important archetypes that affect the world today. Beneath this, we know what it is, sun. You also see this phallic symbol. It's a hill. It was like a green hill, but it's actually a phallus. It actually looks like, it's a phallus. It's the top of a phallus. And it has this ring around it, which is a wall, which is suggestive. You just put it that way. And that's what we're dealing with here, with these heroes, Kobe Bryant and Babe Ruth, and all this 19, and and all these people like Hayden Panettiere saying, this is what I went through. You saw her in that testimony. She was not acting. She looked genuinely traumatized. So this is happening. So what I find interesting is that Atlanta Braves comes to 8/16. Again, 8/16, August 16th. That's Babe Ruth's death date and Panettiere's death date. And Babe Ruth had his 7/14 home run record broken by the Atlanta Braves player, Hank Aaron. Hammer and Hank. I mean, that's also a euphemism, if you want to look at it that way. I don't know. Cody's not. If Cody joined us, I can't see I don't want to mess up the screen. Cody hasn't joined us, has he?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay. Okay, it looks like he won't be here then. All right. I don't know. I'll want to just take up all the time, but if he's not here, then I guess it's okay. Take up all the time.
Yeah, no, you're good. But yeah, that's another perfect example of that name game.
Yeah, Hammer and Hank. So again, you just got to wonder about these names and the veracity of these stories. You know, you want, if something's happening, yes, you'd like it to be addressed. You don't want anyone to be victimized, but at the same time, they look like mockeries as well with some of the names. So what really happened, like they're laughing at, I mean.
Well, the thing about in politics, remember when Anthony Weiner and that whole scandal back in the day? I mean,
it's another example, yeah.
Like,
yeah, with his name, with a name like that.
Yeah.
But again, the thing is, that's not speculation. He actually did tweet out those pictures. He actually did do it. Like the proof is there. But yeah, but how does he end up with a name like that? So just the mockery that goes on. That is an example of, yes, the mockery that goes on. And also like with Donald Trump, when he had the supposedly assassination attempt at the White House press correspondence dinner, how he joked about it afterwards. Like, well, you were about to be assassinated. And he responds by joking about it. Oh, the guy should have been in the NFL. He had the speed of a running back. It's all a joke. This isn't somebody whose life was ever in danger. So again, while you'd like to be empathetic human being, you're at a point where you want to be empathetic, but you still have to question whether these things actually happen. It's kind of a tough spot.
RAMBO. Yeah. Hey, so since you have the screen, really quick, I've noticed a few people in the comments bringing it up. Coded Dogs, just as a reminder, said, "Hey, did you see Hayden's Kobe suitcase?"
Wow, that sounds like...
No, I did not. So if you wouldn't mind, really quick, RAMBO, I just pulled it up myself. But yeah, if you just type in Hayden Panettiere Kobe Bryant suitcase, yeah, it looks like it's saying Hayden resurfaces in Los Angeles. This is back in 2021. But anyways, yeah, interesting connection here for sure. Let's take a look at it.
In January 2021, actress Hayden Panettiere was photographed at Los Angeles International Airport carrying a customized vintage Louis Vuitton rolling duffel bag featuring painted portraits of Kobe Bryant. Wow. Marilyn Monroe and wow, that's...
There's your love connection there too. It says one love. But yeah, there you go. There's a suitcase right there.
Was that Coded Dogs again?
Yes. Yeah, Coded Dogs on fire.
He's absolutely on fire tonight. Big shout out to Coded Dogs. Absolutely. These are amazing tie-ins. I know, because people can look at this stuff like, oh my God, really? Kobe Bryant, Panettiere, just based on allegations and numbers. No, this is amazing. Tie-ins.
Yeah, Coded mentions that, speak of 36, Marilyn Monroe died at 36. And then you had Bob Marley on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah, this is, I want to see the Kobe Bryant.
For me, once again, go back to the green themes. She's wearing green. The suitcase is green. She dies in Greenville, and it says One Love with everything else.
Which is a Bob Marley song. One Love is a Bob Marley song, since she had a Bob Marley suitcase.
Right. Yeah, that's just kind of interesting. Like, I know that TMZ does the, they let people know where celebrities are all the time, but it's just kind of interesting that they make this a story. Oh, there you go. Look at that symbolism. You got the heart with the wings.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thanks again, Coded Dogs, for...
Yeah, here's Kobe Bryant with number 24 jersey.
There you go. And it's a Louis Vuitton. From what it looks like.
Yeah, it is. It's a Louis Vuitton, yeah. And yeah, that's it. Also the clearest shot you get. No, that's an amazing observation. Coded Dogs, yeah, it's really it validates the work.
Yeah, everything we've been talking about with those connections. There's another one to tie this in again.
Again, the question has to be asked: is she really dead? She looks like she really was. I suspect she really was a victim. Just by that reaction, I think she was. that looked like somebody recalling something very painful. I know she's an actress. I suspect she was. I don't think. I mean, this is a thing that does happen. This trafficking does happen, and it happens with celebrities. It happens with everyday people. It is a problem in this world, and there are genuine victims. But I mean, it is unfortunate that now you don't know. You want to be an empathetic human being. You don't know if the story you're hearing is real or not. But it's something that does happen. Not naive about this world. This is not a, it's a world. It is what it is. We know what this world is. But I was just also thinking about the image and symbol of the Colorado Hotel. So where Kobe Bryant's incident and accusation happened was a Colorado hotel. It was a hotel in Colorado. But in popular culture, when you think of a Colorado hotel, you think of The Shining, starring Jack Nicholson. As Jack Torrance takes a caretaker position. This is the plot of The Shining. I believe, 1980 came out? Caretaker position to look after the remote Overlook Hotel in the Colorado Rocky Mountains while it is closed for the winter. On arrival, hotel manager Stuart Ullman informs Jack that the previous caretaker, Charles Grady, killed his wife, 2 kids. But in general, just to give you an idea, The Shining, which is a classic, a horror classic, is about a Colorado hotel. Which
Sunshine.
Where does it say sunshine? Oh,
no, I'm just throwing out the wordplay, right? Like everything we talked about with sun, the 19 symbolism, Shining. The shining, sunshine, right there.
Shining, Shining. Okay, yeah, Shining. So this is Overlook Hotel. This is the hotel. Now it's an actual place. This building is an actual place. So what is this actual place for The Shining? The Overlook Hotel is a fictional place. So to find out, and what is Overlook in the Sumerian cipher? The name of the hotel. It's 618. Kobe Bryant's accuser was a hotel worker. She worked at that hotel. And in Colorado. Just as in The Shining, Jack Nicholson, he's a hotel worker as well. And the birthday of Kobe Bryant's accuser is June 18th. A Colorado hotel worker. Her birthday is June 18th. Overlook is 618, her birthday in the Sumerian site. So she ties in just to the Colorado hotel theme and that date and those numbers. So what hotel is the Overlook Hotel? The Overlook Hotel, which is fictional in The Shining, was primarily inspired and filmed at the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. The Stanley Hotel. What is the gematria of Stanley Hotel? In the reverse ordinal, 168. Again, with the 168s. Like the date, 16th August. The date of the reported death of Hayden Panettiere. The date of the death of Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth, who ties in as Stanley Hotel, which actually is a Colorado hotel. Stanley Hotel, it's in Estes Park, Colorado. Stanley Hotel is a Colorado hotel. You have a Colorado hotel worker who's in the news with Kobe Bryant, whose birthday happens to be 618. And Stanley Hotel is 168, which is an anagram, which is again the death date and Babe Ruth's death date. Were you going to say something?
I was just going to say Stanley reminds me of Stanley Cup, and you just had Carolina win the Stanley Cup, and she died in South Carolina, right? So there's kind of that connection there too.
Oh yeah, Stanley Cup, yeah. Also Stanley Kubrick. I think of Stanley Kubrick. So
yeah,
because he's the one who did the movie
2001: Space Odyssey. Yep.
Because he did The Shining.
And then it ties back to Hayden Planetarium. That was the other thing I wanted to dive in with you really quick was because I do want to be mindful, Rambo. We're right about that 1 hour 45-minute mark, just so you know. But yeah, the Hayden Planetarium opened on October 3rd, 1935, for what it's worth. Looks like it said it closed.
The Hayden Planetarium?
And then it reopened. You know what's crazy? It closed on January 5th. That's the death date of Sonny Bono. We were just talking about that. It says that it reopened on February 19th, 2000, and it reopened as part of the new Rose Center for Earth and Space. That is very interesting to me, just with the word Rose. We've been talking about Rose quite a bit this year, specifically. The death of Catherine O'Hara, Moira Rose, right? Late last year, you had the death of that officer, D. Rose, before the retirement jersey number 1 for Derrick Rose in Chicago, etc. So once again, we got that Rose theme in there. The Rosicrucians, etc. But yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to get us sidetracked there.
No, yeah, that's all very relevant to the decode. But The Shining does tie into this as a Colorado hotel. And these numbers all tie in with Hayden Panettiere and Kobe Bryant. Again, going back to Kobe Bryant's comment about the grape soda and the pizza, it doesn't look so coincidental and it doesn't look so innocent. That meal that he probably didn't even eat that the day before. I don't even believe he ate pepperoni pizza and grape soda. He says he did. If he says he did, I can't say I know his life better than I do. I don't believe him. I do not believe he ate that before that. Literally one of the greatest individual athletic performances in history. I do not believe him. He may be telling the truth, but I don't believe him. And that grape soda pizza mentioned, it's not a good look for him, especially when you look at the details of things he's been accused of. And again, the jury didn't find him not guilty or innocent based on the evidence. She dropped the case. Andy Reid. Okay, I find this somewhat interesting. Andy Reid is 8-16. Since the NFL season is coming up, Andy Reid is kind of interesting. So another thing, and he's a head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. The way he ties in as head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, the musician, celebrity, entertainer who is associated with the Kansas City Chiefs is Taylor Swift. Now, Taylor Swift is a candidate for Super Bowl halftime show for the upcoming Super Bowl. She's a candidate. The favorite is Miley Cyrus, but Taylor Swift is a candidate. And people feel like Taylor Swift is due for a Super Bowl. And she's due. Sooner or later, Taylor Swift is going to get a Super Bowl. And she is associated with the Kansas City Chiefs, married to Kansas City Chiefs. She's married to a Kansas City Chiefs legend. So the reason I think Taylor Swift is relevant here, number one, Hayden Panettiere did the series Nashville, and many people feel that the character that she played in Nashville was actually Taylor Swift. And then she had to come out and say, no, it's not. And the producers of Nashville had to deny it. No, this is not based on Taylor Swift. That's not a positive, very manipulative character. So she is associated with Taylor Swift. People suspect that she is portraying Taylor Swift in Nashville, Panettiere. Taylor Swift is associated with the Kansas City Chiefs. The head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs is Andy Reid, which is 8-16, which ties into that date. I don't know.
I think Millie might be intercepting the lob pass.
Go ahead.
Hear about the 8-16, but shout out to Millie.
She'll say Taylor Swift. I'm guessing what she'll say. Is that what she said?
No.
Well, that's not what
No.
she said. Okay, maybe she came up with something we didn't. Okay.
No, yeah, no. Millie's throwing in here that the area code for Kansas City is 816.
That's a great one. I had no idea. That is a great one.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I always gotta tread lightly because I know you always got some fire just brewing.
But it's fine though. I mean, that shows that people are engaged.
Yeah.
So the opposite of that is people are so disengaged with the decode that they're maybe thinking of other things or daydream, and then they can't make the connections. The fact that people do this shows that they're engaged in the topic. I don't mind at all. I mean, we're sharing here, It's so that is a fantastic contribution. What is it again? 816?
Yeah, 816 is the Kansas City area code.
That is brilliant. Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome observation, Millie. I'm going to throw in too. I'm just taking a look at, because I don't know if you saw this, Rambo, but there's been, news brewing with TMZ about how out of shape Travis Kelce is since the wedding. I don't know if you saw that, but he looks a bit out of shape. And all I did was just type his name in with pizza, and apparently he went to the University of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So he's a Bearcat, and it does say here that he once famously crushed a massive 30-slice, 12-person pizza by himself in Cincinnati back in the day. And apparently him and his now wife, Taylor Swift, are known for ordering very, very large quantities of pizza for parties and gatherings and things like that. So
that's not a good look. That's to be associated with that. That's not accusation. That's not proof of anything, but that's not a good association.
No, I would agree with that.
So they do have that association. So this is what I thought she would say. Taylor Swift's her gematria is 168.
There you go.
And she is a candidate.
Well, and really quick, since we're talking about Taylor Swift, don't forget Rambo. She was in a movie called Valentine's Day. Do you remember that? I don't know if you caught that. And when we talk about the pizza thing, a lot of pizza places on Valentine's Day will make specifically pizzas in the shape of a heart. Classic. But just keep that in mind. Super Bowl is on Valentine's Day. How about that? You said she's a candidate.
Yeah, she's a candidate, for halftime performer, yep.
So how perfect would that be for her to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show on Valentine's Day, and she was in a movie called Valentine's Day?
And and her name just ties into the date 16th August of Hayden Panettiere. So this is just a clip. I think it's from HMBD. I got it from Hayden Panettiere. I'm not playing Taylor Swift in Nashville. So this is just to show you that a lot of people believed, or maybe still believe, that she's the character in Nashville that Panettiere plays is actually referring to Taylor Swift, and it's not a pleasant character. So so these are the things that tie in. Unfortunately, I mean, this stuff has to be addressed. What's going on here? It's not a good look for Kobe. And
shout out to the chat. I'm gonna throw in here too. Shout out to Nika Tico 74, pointing out that there's a music group called 311 Rambo. You might have heard of 311. They're kind of like a ska band. But 311 immediately reminds me of March 11th. Wasn't that the date that C-19 was declared a global pandemic?
Yeah,
I believe it was March 11th. So that there's that 311 connection there. But this band has a song. If it's worth looking into, they have a song called 8:16 a.m.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, so Nikatico says that's the song name, but they are from Omaha, Nebraska. I don't know if there's any other relevance there, but I mean, with everything we're talking about right now, I think that's a great addition just because we've talked about, Kobe, we talked about George Floyd. They both passed the same year as C-19, where it was declared on 3/11. Now Rambo's been all over this 816. Things to think about. So yeah, I mean, that song alone might have an additional layer to add to that. So thank you, Nikotiko.
Yeah, so I was thinking, this is just my thinking, that if Taylor Swift, the announcement should come like second week of September, who the halftime performer will be. Justin Bieber's a candidate too. Miley Cyrus is the favorite. But if Taylor Swift is indeed the halftime show performer, well, same with Justin Bieber actually, because Justin Bieber is halftime show performer at the World Cup. I don't know, would they give Justin Bieber back-to-back halftime shows like that? World Cup and Super Bowl? I don't know. Nonetheless, I'm just thinking of the World Cup final was between Spain, whose colors are red and yellow. Those are Kansas City Chiefs color, red and yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Just a thought.
And it's also pizza colors.
Yeah, pizza colors too. It's a good one. Pepperoni pizza anyway. Yeah. There's also the tomatoes. And the World Cup final is between Spain and Argentina. The NFL team whose colors are closest to that of Argentina, which is sky blue and white, is the Detroit Lions. They're a slightly darker shade than sky blue, but they come the closest to Argentina's colors. So color-wise, a match of the World Cup final, if that's what they're going to do, if a matchup equivalent in the NFL of the World Cup final would be the red and yellow versus the light blue and white would be Kansas City, Detroit Lions, also with all the lion theme, Lionel Messi. Just a thought. And with Taylor Swift in there. Another thing too, the scorer of the World Cup final winning goal, Ferran Torres. Now they're trying to say that he's a Swiftie, supposedly. Like, apparently he's a Swiftie. So yeah, just things to consider. But this is, I'll just end it there. But this is just the thumbnail for the video. And there's some great contributions here. Like, no, I mean, I was almost want to wind down the editing, but the great contributions here of, now there's some things I can add to the decode. Maybe I'll just have to do a part 2 or something and break it up into several parts, because there have been great contributions here that I have to add. So thanks, Millie and
Coded Dogs.
Coded Dogs. So yeah, Coded Dogs. Huge shout out to Coded Dogs. Yeah, I'd have to extend my decode, but this is what I'm working on now. I played the intro, and also shout out to Dimitri from Reality Revolt for his great finds and his hard-hitting decodes, especially the one he did on Hayden Panettiere. I mean, how many people will show that clip of her saying how she was a victim, how some of the movies she was in showed her as a victim, and how they it is a very important issue. I appreciate that he presented that, the victim side of Panettiere, how she was a victim of this activity. So shout out to all those people. And this is the thumbnail of the video that I should be completing soon.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. I wanted to shout out JM, just pointed out, speaking of Argentina, their base camp for the World Cup was in Kansas City.
Yep.
Marty also mentioned, the infamous July 24th date when LeBron James announced that he was going to Philly, leaving Los Angeles. Well, that's also the founding date of Detroit.
July 24th?
July 24th, yeah. That's also Leo Messi's birthday, isn't it?
No, his June 24th is his birthday.
Oh, June 24th. Yeah, excuse me. So, the Leo stuff, we're in the time of Pope Leo, first American Pope. We know his Chicago connections, but I always think about Amon-Ra St. Brown too on the Lions, especially the heavily tied in with the sun symbolism that you've emphasized a lot tonight about the sun symbolism.
Absolutely, yeah. So, the sun symbolism. He is named after a sun god.
Yeah, literally.
His brother's named Osiris.
There you go.
He plays for the Lions, just for some people not. So that is another, if this is the symbolism that ties in, hypothetically, if this is symbolism that will tie into the Super Bowl, these are things to consider. The Lions have a lot of symbolism, and as do the Chiefs. I see symbolism as well with other teams, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, because I mean that the Super Bowl is going to be in Los Angeles. We know that there's been those Kobe themes running pretty much every single year since his death. But when you think about his history in the NBA Finals, he got swept by Detroit.
Oh, Kobe?
Yeah, think about that. That was the year when they had Karl Malone, Gary Payton, and Shaq. I think that was the last year where Shaq and Kobe were all together. But yeah, they lost to Rasheed Wallace and Ben Wallace and Rip Hamilton. You had Chauncey, Mr. Big Shot Billups, who has been in his own news headlines over the last year with all the gambling stuff. But yeah, that was a long time ago. But yeah, I'm just saying that that's kind of Kobe's connection there with Detroit. So we'll see what happens, especially because the quarterback, it's Goff, right?
Jared
right
Goff,
now.
yeah.
Jared Goff with the Charlie Kirk birthday, but also he came from LA. So things to think about. But yeah, I mean that we covered a lot of ground tonight. I want to just shout out the chat. Millie, Coded Dogs, everybody else. You guys have been fantastic. Adding on to everything that Rambo was sharing, and obviously a lot of different angles to take with the death of Hayden Panettiere. But yeah, I did not know about the Hayden Planetarium. I'm going to have to look more into that as well, especially because, her being best known essentially for being on the show Heroes with the eclipse symbolism. But then I'm personally thinking about the movie Remember the Titans. So if there's anything that pops up to you there, especially with her being on Nashville and she was known for Remember the Titans, there could be some interesting things with the Tennessee Titans this year.
And again, Steve McNair, Valentine's Day birthday.
Yes, there you go.
The only quarterback to get them to a Super Bowl. So yeah.
There you go. There you go. Things to think about. But yeah, Rambo, just final reminder to the audience, those that might be new here, please let the folks know where they can find you and support you.
Yeah, thanks again for promoting my work and putting this together each week. This is where I can be found. Patreon.com/thetruthcodes. Again, it's just one tier, $5 a month tier. Or there's free content as well. And on Instagram.com/thetruthcodes. And again, thanks again to the audience, the great contributions, even those who didn't contribute, who just watched, and in advance to those who will watch later. And to you, appreciations, and see you all next week.
We appreciate you, Rambo. And I guess for one final contribution here, Zenga, talk about the blue color symbolism with Argentina. Don't forget the Tennessee Titans. They're blue and white as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right? So they have that blue and white connection there with Argentina. Anyways, yeah, no, thank you, Maggie, for the love and the support. If you guys haven't hit the like, please make sure to do so on the way out, as well as subscribe. It really does help with the channel, you guys. We really appreciate it. I'm going to echo what Maggie said here. The chat was awesome tonight, as always, you guys. So thank you guys again. My name is AJ Balll Don't Lie, 3 L's in Ball. Make sure to hit that sub here on YouTube. You guys can find me on Instagram as well. Without further ado, we'll wrap it up here tonight. Make sure that you guys take care of yourselves, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
All right, take care.